Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And I'm Philip Sage in Victoria, Australia.
We're talking around the world, and one of the things, you're ahead of me, so my reminding you that it's Valentine's Day, knowing that we're recording this on, for me, the 13th and for you, the 14th, is that unless you've already got your act together for whether you're cooking dinner or getting a card or flowers or whatever it is that you and your wife do, but I suspect she has some expectations one way or the other.
Oh, most definitely. And fortunately, earlier, a moment ago, you reminded me that it was also Valentine's Day, having just come through a birthday, and completely plumb forgot about Valentine's Day.
Oh, so I gave you a couple hour heads up here. So
yeah. Recovery time.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to help.
Yeah, thanks so much.
But having chatted like that for a moment or two, it made me think of, there's a lot of, we've seen job postings and that it lists all this generic stuff and, must be this, must be that, and conversant and this, that, and the other thing. But a lot of reliability engineers are the only one in their organization. So there's not a lot of comparison of what other people do or not do, but there's certainly more than likely, assuming that your boss isn't your wife, there's going to be expectations anyway. Maybe not for flower and cards on a holiday, but or birthday kind of thing. But I'm sure you've run into this, Philip, is that there's written expectations. You're going to do this and that and the other thing and work on this project. But then there's probably also unwritten expectations, and might be a good jumping off point for that.
Yeah, it is. It's a great jumping off point. And what do we do, and what are we expected to do, and what does the organization really expect from somebody in that role or that reliability function? I would offer first to say that quite often it's a very generic, as you mentioned, a very generic job description, and I think without putting down the HR function. There's a lot of copying of job descriptions for a reliability engineer that's gone on by the HR team because I don't think that they really truly understand what a reliability engineer can do. And as a result, they survey the other organizations like them, other job postings, and copy the language. And so we perpetuate a kind of a false expectation of what the reliability function should be performing in an organization, which can vary across a wide gamut of topics.
Oh, geez. Well, I know I've told this story on the podcast at some point in the future or the past, and probably will again in the future. But I was in a job interview with the guy that was running this new program, and it was for a handheld device of some sort, and it's he was the hiring manager. It was the first interview of the day. And he said, so if you come on as our reliability engineer, what do you think you're going to do? Or what do you expect that you'll be doing? And he says, well, the first thing I do is go talk to the design team, figure out where the issues are. And he said, whoa, stop. I didn't even get 2 sentences in to this interview. And he said, no, stop right there. You will not be allowed to talk to the design team.
Wow.
Yeah. So I stood up and said, well, then I wish you a lot of luck. I'm not the right person for this position. I think you will struggle in getting this product to actually work. And I don't want to waste your time or your team's time. So thank you very much. And I left. He was shocked, absolutely shocked. He chased me out to the car, kind of like a used car dealer saying, what's it going to take to get you to, take this offer? And I'm like, no. If that's the attitude you have of what a reliability engineer does, then I think you will get somebody that will run tests for you, but they'll be less than meaningful. And so good luck to you. And of course, a year later, I kept track of that product line, and it had a dismal launch and for 6 months. It was in the news bad kind of thing. So I was very happy to dodge that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's just one example. It's a very powerful example of the misconception, if you will. Maybe that's the right word. Maybe it's not. Of what not only the HR function, which is performing hiring and firing as their primary diet, but the management team that has promoted that position and says we need the HR team to go find us a viable candidate and bring those viable candidates in front of us. This is what we think we want, and that job description of what reliability is all about is often, as we noted a moment ago, very vague and generic and very, very broad. But they probably have to be in order to encompass what we want them to be able to do. But the expectations of what a reliability engineer can do are rather limitless, and we can work very at a very low level, doing root cause analysis, or as you mentioned, within the final phases of product design, or in the final manufacturing and first pass quality. All of those areas are the purvey of a very competent reliability engineer, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had to convince people that it's okay for me to go talk to the finance team, and we need to corral the marketing folks of what they're claiming our product can and can't do. And getting involved with supplier issues and supplier selection. And I agree. And I heard it from a project manager I was working with. He was running this big project, and I asked him one time, why am I the only one here that doesn't have a team? You got the manufacturing engineering manager, you got the mechanical engineering manager, electrical engineering manager, software engineering team manager, on and on and on. I had a whole table full of all these mid-level managers. And me, I was in the company about 6 months, and I was engineer level 1, kind of sitting there. And he says, you're the only other person except me that has to work with all of these different fields. The mechanical engineer can do mechanical stuff all day long. As long as they know where the wires are going, then they're happy, It's kind of their take on it.
Oversimplification. I imagine a few mechanical engineers might object to that, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no, but it's the software guys, as long as the chip's on there and powered, I don't really care how it gets powered. I'm fine. I got a software problem to solve. And it makes sense. And reliability folks can be reactionary, and it really depends on the culture of the organization. The expectation may be, I want really good problem solving and root cause analysis and managing priorities, like a fracas system of some sort, or leading teams to drive solutions in short term and long term. And that's completely different than another set of expectations where the team has got a really good culture around reliability, and they say, well, we want to do an analysis and preventative issues, and we want to learn from our mistakes so we never make them again. We want to, how can we, hone this one step further? How do we get the next level of performance out of our suppliers? How do we manage our warranty so it's really useful for our customers and providing information? I mean, all kinds of things can be completely different, but it's still a reliability opening, or reliability role.
I think you hit it on the head, that the expectations of the organization are largely a reflection of where the organization is on their own reliability journey. And that can be very reactive and fourth quartile, or it can very much be very proactive with a first quartile organization where you're really, I think you used the word honing, you're really sharpening the edge that already exists of how you do things within your industry segment. And the role of the reliability engineer in both of those very different aspects or life points or milestones along the reliability journey for any organization is a very different role. And the expectation should be very different and very much tailored so that you're working on the right things. And I would offer often the reliability profession is misunderstood or not fully understood And as a result, we have reliability engineers working to the wrong expectations.
Well, there's that. I mean, that touches on a topic I think we should probably do a whole nother episode for. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit, though. Let's say you're in the organization, or you've just moved, like many of us have been tapped on the shoulder and says, hey, you're our reliability engineer now. There's a little bit of, I don't even know what to do kind of scenario. But once you get your feet under you and you figure out, that Weibull analysis might well be part of your life now. What should a person do to kind of define their role? How do they know what's expected? Unless you have a boss say, sit over there and crank out these Weibull plots for us. Here's the data, don't worry about where it comes from, that kind of thing. Now, I would be just mortified with that kind of expectation, but that might happen. But I'm thinking of when I first started as a reliability engineer, and I didn't even know that was a title or a possibility kind of thing. So my boss came in and said, hey, we've got this major customer. They want us to custom design this product for them, and they want to make sure it lasts for 20 years. And I was like, okay, I have no idea how to do that. He says, good. Now you can go figure it out. That's your job. It's like, okay. and so the expectation, and it was a great organization that I was working in. We were learning all the time. And it was one of those places where the expectation is that the only mistake you can do is make it twice. It is not learn as you go along. And when I was in the engineering manager, in the manufacturing management team, our boss, Ron, was, you need to do an experiment every single day. And it doesn't have to be, earth-shattering or going to transform the company's production or anything like that, but you need to do an experiment. We're spending all this time learning about all these different tools and techniques and processes and stuff like that. Practice it. And so we would do just trivial experiments sometimes, but we would do a hypothesis test one day and a control chart the next day and a mini DOE the next day and stuff like that. And didn't have to be formal reports or anything else, but he would ask every day, what experiment did you do? What results did you get? What did you learn? And so it was a wonderful place to work in. And because you were allowed to fail, but it was always in the light of to learn. So the expectation was pretty clear, and it was broad, and it was a young engineering team. A bunch of us were pretty much straight out of school, and it was like, no, you need to learn. Just go learn. And while you're at it, you'll stumble into making stuff better. That's great, kind of thing.
Well, that's a great environment, and on the other end of the spectrum, I'm mortified and I have recently heard of reliability role where the expectation was only to do root cause failure analysis. That was the job. Yeah.
And by the way, you get no lab. We'll give you a microscope, and that's it.
Yeah. And the other end of the spectrum in asset management and in the mining industry in particular, the asset management is a more intense related portion of the reliability engineering umbrella. And the things that you mentioned, I think very much are part of the role of the reliability engineer, including the design of experiments and running, various tests. And what a wonderful environment to broaden your horizons and grow up in. Ideally, you'd also, as I did, I had one of the world's greatest mentors is my first boss. And that person, helps you along the journey to explore and open up your eyes much wider as to what the possibilities are. Yeah. So I think that having that, and the other thing that you mentioned, Fred, was the expectations of a newly anointed reliability engineer, especially if you haven't gone through any formal training. And 20 years ago, there wasn't any formal training in reliability at upper higher education. Today there is, but it's limited. There are pockets of excellence around the world, yep. As you know. But for the most part, reliability engineers are engineers that have kind of gravitated towards the reliability field from another field, or in some cases still today, coming up from starting their career in the tools, which is a wonderful place to start because you have such a practical background of how things work and how things get fixed.
Yep.
So I don't know that the expectations can be really fundamentally pinned down, other than to say that the definition of the expectations is one that requires intense amount of communication between the reliability engineer and their team and their boss.
Yep.
And to make sure that you're constantly communicating and asking, and even if you're not in an environment where the mantra is go do an experiment and fail every day as a way to learn, you need to perhaps kind of start that environment by asking the right questions of what's important to the organization, where can I make the biggest impact, what are the things that I should be doing, why does that help us, and I think those challenges also help the management team that has a very broad but often myopic view of what a reliability engineer should do. Helps open the playing field to what a reliability engineer can do.
Yep.
And a fully empowered reliability engineer, I think, is just a wonderful thing because they will come in and assess the entire playing field and figure out where the right place to plug in is, and also provide that all-important communication and teamwork that's absolutely essential not only to their success, but the entire team's success.
Well, that building on that, or building, there's two parts here, and I'm going to try to remember both of them. But my first thought as you're laying that out is one of the great questions to ask wherever you are. I mean, it's not just for reliability engineers. Is what are we trying to do here? What is it? Remember the vision statements, and then they eventually became little more than a Hallmark card on the side of the wall.
Yes.
It's kind of worthless, or mission statements and all those kinds of stuff. But at some point you need to have that discussion with your boss and your boss's boss, or CEO of the company, if you, depending on access and all the other stuff. What is it we're trying to do here? We're trying to get this product ABC out the door, but why? That we make money on it, but what problem are we trying to solve in society? Why, if we're making water purification systems for campers, well, there's the solution we're providing them is clean drinking water when they're away from, water facilities and services. There's a creek or a stream or a glacier. And all right, I get that. That's what we're trying to do. But if you don't understand what it is you're trying to do, it's not just ship 100 units this week. It's what's the bigger picture? What is it what's the overall direction of this company or vision of this company or meaning of what we're trying to do? I think that's a piece that helps one align the expectations across the organization. And anybody can ask that question. It might sound naive, but I've asked execs a handful of times, so it was a mean question. I know you'd probably enjoy this one, Philip, is the VP of somebody, engineering or something like that's talking to this group in this class. And I asked, so what's a day like for you? I have no idea what you do a day in and day out. And he says, well, I have this meeting and we talk about, who gets to sit where, we can do this, we can do that, we do everything else. And he listed all these things that were pretty mundane. And he says, when you first introduced yourself, you said your number one priority is X. You didn't mention that at all in what you do every day. So how do you say that's a priority when you don't do it? And I asked there was a class where all these different execs were coming in and giving this class a pitch, and there's like 2 or 3 a day. And word got out that I was asking this question because I thought it was hilarious that they would tell us what's important and then ignore it in their day-to-day activities. And so one of them says, where's Fred? I know I've been told that somebody's going to ask me this question. So I've come prepared.
It's a fair question. And the question, of course, I think the purpose of mentioning it is that it directly relates to the reliability engineer's day and what their expectations are, and that we should be very intently and passionately focused on making a difference in our company. And that, what does a reliability engineer do? Often, unfortunately, we have to figure out what that is, or in some cases, we have to battle uphill from an organization that has only known the bottom, and therefore only operates has been used to operating in a very reactive mode, and therefore the reliability role that they're used to is maybe not what they need for the future.
But if you have a good picture from your operation, the ops manager, basically, that, we really care about, and it makes or breaks our business if our product is, meets our numbers, our quotas for week. We fill shipments. Or another plant I was in. Now we'll give up volume to get the product quality right. And if it doesn't meet the specifications or the expectations of our customers, it doesn't matter how many we ship, it's not going to work, and so on. And so that can guide us also as to what kinds of things should we do that, because if I'm working on uptime and they really don't care about uptime, they're just caring about quality, I'm out of sync. And so it's
absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, as the saying goes. Probably the most powerful thing a reliability engineer can do is recognize that they need to stop working on uptime, and it's now time to start working on first pass quality.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful things that can happen in an organization is when a reliability engineer joins the quest, whether it be OEE or quality, and understands, that's really the current bottleneck of the company.
Yeah.
And especially if you're already at the top end of your capability, there's no amount of additional maintenance strategies that are going to reduce the number of failures, which are low, by any significant number to make a marginal increase. And you really do want to be working with some of the CRE tools, if you will, and looking at run charts and other statistical quality control aspects as part of your reliability engineering role, that as you shift between those areas of primary focus as the organization grows, you're shifting to the area that delivers the most value.
There's one last aspect of this, and then we'll have to wrap it up, is that some of the reliability engineers I've met and known over the years have their own set of expectations, what they should think they should be doing, and are going to impose that on the organization. Now, I did that in that interview. It says, I expected to talk to the design teams, and they said, no, you can't. And it says, okay, well, that doesn't meet my expectation. I'm out of here. But we also can be our own worst critic to some extent. And so setting expectations that keep the customer in focus, keep the output of what we're trying to achieve as the bigger picture kind of thing, helps a whole lot. But it's also, what we're doing make a difference, and is it give us job satisfaction? Those kinds of things. Those are aspects of it too, is that if I really like doing parts count predictions day in and day out, and imagine if I did it every day, I'd get good at it, cranking out sheets full of meaningless numbers. And I've met people that's what they do, and they like doing it. They know what they're doing. They have a limited scope. They don't want to look elsewhere for other types of things they could be doing or making an impact on. More power to him. He likes doing that stuff. People are willing to pay him money for it, which I really don't understand. That might be a topic for a whole nother podcast. But, it's your own expectation sometimes is maybe you're not achieving what you want as fast as you want, or vice versa, is that this world's moving way too fast and I'm not comfortable with that. So it's, there's a lot to the single word of just expectations. And I think the number one takeaway is, as you said, Philip, is lots of communication. Talk to your boss, talk to your peers, talk to your team, understand what's expected and to what extent.
No, I agree with you wholly. And as we wrap things up here, I think that you, again, just highlighted the question that probably every reliability engineer, every reliability professional should ask at some point in the next week or two from their peers and from their boss and organization is what is expected. And if that answer surprises us, then we need to really kind of come to grips with the fact that we may not be working on the right things, or we may be trying to impart our personal bias onto the organization in a way that it's really not ready to grow, and that our efforts really might be better served in a different area or a different focus. Yeah. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, Fred, and let you put the ribbons on it.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking is, I guess the right question for our listeners is, did this episode meet your expectations? And that might be opening Pandora's box for us, but we'll see. If you got a comment on the show or this topic or other topics or something you'd like to hear us talk about, now the expectation is that you actually take a few minutes and send us a note or a message or an email or something like that. You can go over to accendoreliability.com/go/SOR, and there's a couple of ways to get in touch with us. Philip and I and the other hosts of the show are available through LinkedIn and through our About pages on Accendo. So plenty of ways for you to get in touch with us. And my expectation is I'd like to hear from you. So that'd be cool. So anyway, Phil, thanks a whole lot. And you mentioned this working on the right thing so many times. We're going to have to hit record again here real quick.
All right. Sounds good, Fred. Take care.
Yep. Take care. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.